Currently, the world's greatest movie belt belongs to Blood Diamond. But today, fittingly, Creed is attempting to take the title. Let's start with a quick review of Creed. If you need a reminder for Blood Diamond, click here. Rocky is finally retired. Now it's time for the next generation's boxer who can't block. And his name is Adonis Creed. If that name sounds familiar, it's because he is the illegitimate son of Apollo Creed. And he's played by the always popular Michael B. Jordan. At first, I thought it was a bit disrespectful to posthumously have a beloved character from the original series cheat on his wife. But it kinda makes sense. Apollo was one of the biggest athletes in the world, and let's just say athletes have a certain reputation for a reason. If Wilt Chamberlain slept with 10,000 women, I have to imagine the ultra-competitive Apollo Creed slept with at least 10,001. Adonis has a cushy job working in the corporate world, but wants to follow in his pop's footsteps and become a boxer. Bad news is he's forced to fight in dingy rings in Tijuana because no one in LA will train him. But after watching one of his father's fights, he gets inspired to seek out the man who is a real-life statue in Philadelphia, Rocky Balboa. It takes some persistence, but the aging Rocky agrees to train Adonis. Rocky goes one step farther though. He doesn't just teach him how to fight, he also teaches him how to love. But not in a creepy way. Balboa becomes a father figure and even helps Adonis hook up with his love interest, Bianca. Bianca is a partially deaf musician who lives in the apartment below Adonis. They first meet when he confronts her for playing her music too loud. When I address my loud neighbors, I get middle-aged men who only own tank tops. Adonis, of course, gets a woman that looks like Tessa Thompson. If you've seen the original Rocky movies, you know his wife Adrian is the biggest wet blanket in movie wife history. Bianca is infinitely cooler than the mousy Adrian. But that doesn't mean she's perfect. Before one of her shows, a colleague of hers disrespects Adonis. To the surprise of no one, the boxer whoops the wannabe rapper. Instead of backing her man though, she blames him for the whole encounter. Things work out in the end, but the whole thing irks me. Luckily, films in the Rocky franchise aren't about relationships. The only things that matter are the fights and the training montages. Creed has 3 training montages, which might actually tie the record. And the fights are compelling and, dare I say, more realistic than the original Rocky films. Thanks to some luck, Rocky's training, and his father's name, Adonis gets a chance at a title after only one legit fight. It sounds crazy, but it's no crazier than Rocky getting a fight with Apollo Creed when he was a complete nobody. And nothing is crazier than getting 2 Philly cheesesteaks with drinks for $9.95. For those prices, I actually wouldn't mind living in a place where people drive on those loud motorbikes. The only issue with the big fight in Creed is the opponent Adonis faces. The actor, Tony Bellew, had a great career as a boxer in real life, but he doesn't really work as a movie fighter. He looks like some British bloke they picked up at a local pub's dart tournament. How can you go from Ivan Drago, a man who literally kills people in the ring, to a guy who looks like Vinny from Jersey Shore? Regardless, this is a fantastic boxing film, and if you enjoy fighting movies, it's a must-watch. Now comes the real question. Is it good enough to take the world's greatest movie belt from Blood Diamond? I've broken up the debate into 7 categories. The movie that wins the most wins the match. Round 1, Best Cast. Oh my, this is a tough one. Both movies have 3 key characters, and I love all of them. Sylvester Stallone is a living legend, and is good enough in Creed that I actually started to get teary-eyed. Then on the other side, you have Leo, who has been an A+ star for over a quarter of a century. Some would say Djimon Hounsou is the weakest link, but as I said in my review of Blood Diamond, I love Hounsou, and actually think he had the best performance out of anyone in these 2 films. And because of that, the round goes to Blood Diamond. Round 2, Best Action. These films vary wildly in their action sequences. Creed is old school boxing, while Blood Diamond is mostly about shooting people, which is more technically difficult and more visually impressive. But in the context of this movie, it's a huge bummer considering a lot of the victims are innocent people. Meanwhile, the fights in Creed get my adrenaline rushing and actually make me want to go work out. I prefer action that gets me pumped up versus being depressed, meaning Creed wins this round. Round 3, Best Music. When you hear the words Creed and music in the same sentence, you may shudder, but this Creed isn't a joke. It takes hip-hop and mixes it with the soaring orchestral music we hear in the original Rocky movies. For me, it works, and I think it fits the themes of the movie, but I understand it's not for everyone. Blood Diamond has a more traditional score done by James Newton Howard. You probably won't add any of the songs to your Spotify playlist, but they are impactful, especially the song at the end, which makes me get emotional every time I watch it. This one's too close to call, meaning we have a tie. Round 4, More One of a Kind. It pays to be unique in entertainment. Even if something is well made, if you can compare it to a dozen other movies, it loses some of its value. Considering Creed is a part of a franchise of similar movies, I think it's safe to say Blood Diamond is more one of a kind. Better jokes. Creed's funniest moments come from Rocky himself. Not only does he still talk funny, but he is now old and doesn't understand the youth or technology. There are a couple funny moments in Blood Diamond which help cut the tension, but once again they go along with scenes with mutilation, making it harder to relax and enjoy the one-liners. Winner Creed. Better title. I'm a sucker for a title drop, aka when an actor in the film says the name of the movie. Characters in Blood Diamond say Blood Diamond 3 or 4 times, but Creed blows it out of the water, saying it more than a dozen times. But it does feel like cheating when the title is one word and the last name of the main character. Ultimately, both are memorable names, so I'm going to give this a tie. Round 7, the movie you can't stop telling people to watch. If you're like me, when you see a good movie, you want to share with the rest of the world. So you force your friends to watch it, and afterwards, everyone talks about how awesome it was. One of my favorite parts in movies is the shared enjoyment we can get from them. I've recommended both films to friends, but I have a little more pride recommending Blood Diamond, because I always know they're gonna love it. Winner, Blood Diamond. Blood Diamond has defeated Creed, meaning it gets to hold on to its title as the best film of all time. Do you agree with the results? What film do you think should go against Blood Diamond next time? And finally, thanks for watching.